fine? The purpose drives people screen?
Yes.
Yep,
Excellent.
it's okay.
Okay. Did you want us to do introductions, Alexandra, or just jump right into things?
Maria, what do you think? Do we need some introduction, or we could just take a look in the system?
I think let's just take a look at the system, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm Terry Houston. I'm here today to walk you through the SuccessFactors performance management and goals solution. I prepared a demo script that Alexandra kind of reviewed for me. She also shared with me your process to date, and we're going to show you how we've configured that inside the system and how we can work with that. Although I may use another performance review to show some other features because I didn't enable it all. I can't create everything from scratch for all of our demos, but I think you get the great gist of it. Before we get into that, I just wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about why SAP SuccessFactors. There's some key reasons why organizations like yours are reviewing SuccessFactors product suites, and one is because we are the largest human capital management vendor with over 6,500 customers and 110 million users. What keeps us up there and leading edge is the fact that we have 4,200 developers just specialized to our SuccessFactors product suite, including 300 engineers and lawyers that are dedicated to just keeping us legal and compliant in all the countries we operate in. And we do operate and have deep localization in 92 countries and operate in over 180 countries. We push out around 2,000 legal updates in our overall solution suite every year to keep our customers current and in compliance in every country that they operate in out there on the marketplace. It comes with a lot of pre-delivered content. We're going to show that today. And we're one of the only vendors covered in the last 34 out of 34 analyst reports, and we'll show you some of those findings. Also, I know today we're going to focus specifically on performance and goals, but as organizations grow and their need for talent grow, we don't want to have a bunch of disparate systems and silos inside of our organizations. We want to partner and choose a partner that can provide end-to-end solutions in the HR space, and that's exactly what SuccessFactors does. Anywhere from your core HR, benefits, and time requirements to what we classify as our talent management modules, right from recruiting through to succession and development, providing social collaboration, mobile experience, and we're going to show you parts of our intelligent services inside our solution today as we go through the demo. Our product is so innovative and built on such a great platform that we push out quarterly releases. So we keep our customers up to date with new features and functionality every quarter that they can determine whether they want to turn those on or not inside of their solutions to take advantage of those. Because the system's so well built, we can also plug in apps. So sometimes I like to refer to SuccessFactors, and we're going to show it on a mobile phone in a while, kind of like your iPhone, and the ability, just like your iPhone is to download other apps like your LinkedIn or your Facebook or your Google Maps apps. You can be able to turn those on either for free or for a fee, and we have over 150 apps in our app store that allows our customers to take even further advantage of the fundamentals of SAP SuccessFactors. A lot of organizations think of SAP and they think only large enterprise, but in fact 80% of our customers are in the mid-market, and that goes for the SuccessFactors product suite as well. So a large majority of our customers fall in around and under the 2,500 range mark. We talked about our industry analyst coverage. As I said, we're the only vendor covered in the last 34 out of 34 analyst reports. So whether the report was just for performance and goals, where we're ranked #1, same with, we're in the leaders quadrant in learning, and as well as recruiting and succession and so on. And then of course in the overall talent suite of things, we're also the leader in being the integrated talent management vendor out on the marketplace. So what that means to an organization like Grid Dynamics is that you can be both best of breed and integrated at the same time if you choose to expand on the products and solutions that you buy from SAP SuccessFactors. As a global organization, we talked a little bit about this, but we can't emphasize enough how important it is for organizations that are globally located to pick a vendor that can really support them around those areas, you know, whether it's the GDPR that we're fully compliant in, or whether it's those changes and fixes, or the data and information we have to store around our employees based on the locations. A lot of our competitors say they're global, but all they do is change languages and currency in the system. They're not really keeping you legally compliant. Is there anything, Chris, you wanted to add around SAP SuccessFactors before we move into the demo?
No, I think you hit it the nail on the head. I mean, we have a full solution suite that does definitely maximize the execution alongside the performance and goals as well. You know, that'll probably be for additional conversations down the road.
Okay, thanks. So now I've landed on, and I have this open in the back, our screen. I logged in as Jeff Hill. We're going to log in maybe as a couple personas today, because I did do some creation for you for your specific demo scenario, and I used some personas for grid dynamics that I don't always demo because I don't want your specific information to show up in all my demos. So this is actually our sandbox demo environment. But what we wanted to do is spend time before we get into performance just around how ease of use the system is. Now I have all the modules on today. For yourselves, you would start here with only having home, community, goals, performance, continuous, and calibration turned on, and development as well here in the system. And then depending again on who you are from an administrative perspective, you would have access to the admin center and reporting capabilities. You can turn reporting on for your employees as well, should you choose to. This is our traditional navigation like a website, but really what we're finding more and more as people get intuitive with the system and with the internet and the way applications work, they more so use our active search. And as you're seeing here, as I was typing things in and out of the system, it gives us the ability to find both actions and people inside the solution. So I can basically key in anything I want to, and within one click, I can get anywhere I need to be inside of the solution suite. So that makes it super easy and intuitive for us to be able to get wherever we need to go. We're glad to see that you're doing a more what we call a frequent use of performance management than annual. So hopefully nobody forgets how to come in here and use the system, but they not come in as often as they do. That is helpful in making them be able to get where they need to do. So we can come here and we can configure this landing page. We can allow our employees to change the data and information they want, or we can lock it down. Anytime there's something that's overdue task-wise, it would come up in the red letters here inside the system. We can see information about things I have to do. We can also come into the system and see our employees, and if they had overdue items, we would have the ability here, instead of going to activities, it would actually say, let me find somebody, Jada usually has something overdue. As I said, it's our sandbox, and you can nudge them for updates here inside the system. Wherever you see this take action button, and you'll see it lots inside the solution, is based on our roles and permission. It gives us the ability to be able to jump in and take actions that have been we've been given permissions to do inside the solution suite. We can also see and look at my own information here. And then, of course, we can pull up data and reports on our dashboard that are most important to us in our roles inside the organization. And we can actually create new tiles specifically with the data and information you want to, and place them on your home page. The way to edit this is simple and easy. You go to personalize home page, and it's just a matter of checking the push pins on or off as to what data and information that you may want visible on your dashboard at any point in time, and you can just click those and make those changes. one of the other features that we really like about the solution, and you'll probably see me do this today a number of times, is my ability to proxy in as somebody. So if I want to come into the solution and I get a phone call from an HR perspective that says, you know, Jada is calling me and saying that she can't see her performance review or something specific on her screen, it's still thinking about my home page. It gives me the ability to be able to come in here and proxy in as Jada and be able to see specifically what it is that Jada is seeing on her home page. So I can do that quickly and easily here inside the solution. Sorry, I'm just having some internet issues, I think, here.
Yeah, we've lost the screen.
Did you lose the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Could you just start it over?
Jeff, I'm sorry, and this is the problem with using the sandbox. I don't have all the same access rights that I normally do. So the proxy feature, what we like about that also is the capability that if we want to log in and out, can you see my screen now, by the way?
No, sorry.
Oh, you're still not seeing it. Okay.
Yes, now we could see it.
Now you're seeing it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. So what I was showing you here is the ability to proxy in and proxy out as individuals inside the solution. As I was saying, I'm in the sandbox because I did some configuration. So it's not configured, but I'll show you that when I log out and into the other system as we get forward on. The ability, and you saw the ability to change the tiles and that, correct? Yep. What helps us is the ability to be able to look at our employees and see data and information that's relevant for them inside the solution suite. I've got a lot of information.
Carrie, but as for now, we could see just like notes also, and yeah, not just the presentation.
Oh, you're seeing the wrong screen? Hang on a second. Are you now seeing it?
There we go. Now we can see it.
Oh, thank you.
Correct.
That's the problem with using two screens. Sometimes like picks up the wrong screen when we do that. So what I did here was go into employee profile to give you a glimpse of the data and information that we can capture around our employees. Now again, I have a lot of information turned on here inside the system. One of the features that we like, especially from a global perspective, is the ability to be able to come in here and record people's names. Even though just now in the US, we've got such a diverse population set, it's handy regardless of whether you're global or not. But it comes in and gives you the ability to record your name. And then you would have a little speaker here that would allow people to play that. You can also see what time zone they're in and where they're located. So this gives us a great way to know when it's appropriate to contact somebody. And we can link to Facebook and LinkedIn profiles if you want to here as well. And this helps us when we're approaching or speaking to somebody, making sure that we're pronouncing their name correctly inside the solution. When we're setting up the employee profile, we can configure a large number of fields. Because I have a lot of the applications on, we're probably seeing more data than you'd want to capture in here. You might be doing this in your HRIS. But we do have the capabilities to be able to capture information about our employees to help us understand who they are, and more specifically, maybe where they are inside the organization and what job they hold and who they report to, and link out to their specific job descriptions. Because when we do performance management, ideally we want to bring in role-specific or job-specific competencies that we're going to tie to each of their job descriptions, so that anybody in a unique role will have a unique performance review. And I believe you're doing that, correct, Alexandra? You're on mute.
Could you please repeat the question?
sorry, the question was, are you going to bring in role-specific competencies to evaluate in your competence and when you're doing your performance reviews?
Might be. We have internal competency-based job profiles, but might be we will use this function. But I think let's keep it for now and let's focus on performance review process at whole. Okay?
Okay. So this is where we can also see the data and information we're collecting around how they're performing and their skills and competencies. We can have that visible here inside of their employee profile if you choose to. Now remember that every single field inside the application is permission-based. So anything you want somebody to be able to see or not see or see and edit, you have the capabilities to decide that for any type of role that you want to create inside your organization. So in here we can come in and see our performance and our competencies and our histories inside the organization, and these are visible here. You can decide how many years back you want to go inside of this data and information as well here. What powers the system is our org chart capabilities. So basically what we want to be able to do is not say it goes from Alexandra to Maria to Chris. We want to say that it goes from employee to manager to HR. And this is what we do when we upload your data and information, is we create these reporting matrix, including any dot matrix reporting capabilities here inside the system. And what we're able to do with this then is power those types of workflows so that as everybody moves around inside the organization, we do not have to constantly change our workflows to change with the people inside the system. And these are all exportable. It's part of the product, so you can export the org chart to PowerPoint as well as to PDF inside the solution. Okay. So let's move right through and into goals and performance, which is the module that you're most interested in today. So when we get into our goals module, we land on our goals page, and we can clearly see again, use a color coding where we're on track or behind inside the solution. Everything again is done based on role base, and here's our action button. So based on Jeff's capabilities in the system, you can see that he has the capability to cascade goals, to do mass assign goals. He has a little bit of administrative rights. But more importantly, as a manager, we would probably allow him to launch a team goal. So we don't want him to have to launch a goal and then go and assign it to each of his employees or do it independently. So here he can do that inside the solution by simply using that template. We do cascade goals down, as you can see here. We can keep the nomenclature the same as we pass it down, or as we pass it down to individuals, we can change what their contribution may be here. Our system also gives you the ability to cascade up goals, which is a little bit unique to a lot of organizations. And we are having some customers use that with success now. Example would be that as employees, they say at the end of every month what their 3 things they'd like to see addressed by the organization would be, and that goes up to the manager and their manager and so on. And then it gets up to the CEO, and they pick the top 5 things throughout the organization, and they do a town hall on it. And I thought that was a pretty cool way to be able to do that. We can add goals in a number of ways. We can use our wizard, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So organizations that aren't used to using these types of systems, this isn't often the way that they would start. You can pick the category, and anywhere you see a drop down, this is all configurable by you as to how you might want to break your goals down. And if I wanted to start typing, this is an example of some of those 19,000 pieces of content. We have in our database over 500 goals in our goals library. So I could pick one here. I could create my own that I wanted to do here, and I can edit the information applicable here. And I could walk through this wizard, which takes me through how are we going to measure it, and then some of these are actual gut checks. Is it attainable or not attainable? Is it relevant? And then, of course, coming up with setting a time boundary around those goals. So this is definitely one way that we can add goals. The other way that we can create goals are copying them from other plans, or we can create them from that goal library. So we could come in here and we could say we want to do an HR goal around compensation, and I can just pick the goal that I want to have and add that to my specific goal plan here. We can also create goals based on a goal template. So this is a template you would pick and design. We would design for you. We have the capabilities to decide whether it's a public or a private goal. We have the capability, again, to link it to those categories that we want to. And then we can dictate what fields we're going to make mandatory for our employees to fill out, like goal name, their metrics. We can decide if we're going to weight it or not. It doesn't have to be weighted. Start and end dates, percentage of completion. Again, we can use the color coding bars. We can also link out to external data. So if we're, tracking other data and information from other systems and how well we're performing, we can link out to what that type of statistic is here. And of course, if we're creating really large goals, we may want to break those down and add particular milestones or deliverables, and we can do that here. We can capture our execution actuals and our targets. We can put in our probabilities of success and whether they're strategic or non-strategic. Now remember, every time I show you anything in the system, you can make it disappear or you can add additional fields. This is a totally configurable solution. So if you saw something and you wouldn't use it, don't worry about it. You don't have to use it. If you think there's something else you'd like to capture here to report on, we can build that in here as well. So is there any questions around how to create goals? All right, I know you're all on mute, so I'll take that as a no unless somebody wants to unmute themselves. The other thing is, as I talked about, is the art of what we want visible and not visible. Here you can see what our display options are, so we can allow our end users to pick and choose how much information they want visible along here, or we can lock that down for them again. So just always keeping in mind, we can make the screens as detailed as possible or as simple as possible. It's completely up to you. You'll also notice here we have CPM achievements. This is our continuous performance management. So as we align goals, achievements to our goals and our continuous performance management, which I'm going to show you shortly on my mobile, you'll be able to see that data and information populate down here. You can also see for future consideration, we can also link to learning objects in our LMS should you choose to extend the use of the platform. We can automatically assign learning to help people better achieve their goals here. You can see I may have multiple goal plans here as well, so I can toggle back and forth around those goal plans. And as I was saying, most organizations don't have a problem at all in understanding and putting in their goals. Where we have problems often is getting people to take the time and effort to update their goals. So we've created a number of features inside the system to be able to enable you to do that. I'm just going to log out, I'm sorry, and log into my other system. I forgot that this sandbox, of course, does not do that. What we can do there in here is be able to show a status report. So let me go to my new demo site. Oh, I was in goals, sorry. Status report here. So this status report, as I was saying, is our ability to quickly and easily be able to come in here and update information that I want to and send the status update all at one point in time. So instead of having to scroll down that very long page, I can come in here and specifically see that type of data and information. update it, and notify everybody that needs to be notified right here in the system. If you are using, if it asks me to leave because I haven't saved my data, that's a good feature, although it seems annoying, but obviously we don't want people to leave and not save their data. The next area I'm going into is what we call our execution map, and that's our ability to, if we are using cascading goals, to be able to come in here and see the impact of those cascading goals on us inside of our organization. So I can come in here as Jeff Hill and see specifically who's impacting my level of success. I can see that it is James Klein, and I can ask that owner for a status update here inside the system. So that quickly and easily enables me to keep track of that. An example of our role-based permission is if I go on this other end and I try to look at a succession map specifically to who it is that may be where, for instance, I'm impacting somebody else's. It's all done on roles and permissions inside the solution, so I am not able to see the type of data and information that I can on the other side here. So you see it's grayed out. I can't see how Maya, my boss, is doing and how anybody else is doing. I can only see specifically my data and information. The other item that I really like is what we call our meeting agenda, and this is the ability for me to come in here and see my direct reports, my second level, decide, do I want all my goals, including the ones that are high, or do I only care about the ones that are low here in the system, and going in and scheduling meetings right with your either Outlook or Google or any other calendaring system, so that I can quickly and easily invite those people to those meetings, and they will know specifically what we're going to be speaking about there inside the demo or inside the specific meeting. So that's a handy trick as well to hold everybody accountable inside the solution. We're going to move now over into performance. So from a performance management perspective, we can have unlimited types of performance reviews inside the system. You can see in our 27, this is more similar kind of to the actual review that you guys are looking to do, but I'm going to show you your exact template coming up in a second. And you can see here for the 2008 reviews, they've condensed that and shortened it in this particular demo environment scenario. But some of the features I want to show you before we go into your unique review is this ask for feedback capability. And what this does is allow us both internally and externally to be able to go to people and ask them specifically for feedback around how well we're performing. So this gives us the opportunity to reach outside of our peers in our network, into our network, to get information to help us populate these reviews. When we go in to look at the actual reviews, we can see all kinds of great data and information along the top. And again, this can be turned on or turned off inside your environments. We can see that she's ranked as a 3. We can see we've actually rated everything. She's 3 out of 8 of my employees. This is where the supporting document would be. This is where I would rank her higher or lower than she had ranked herself. And I can see that type of information. I can always print or save this type of information here as well. And we can decide whether we enable us to add goals at any point in time, or whether goals get locked and they're only set at the beginning, which you guys I know are sitting down and doing a goal review session at the beginning. If you want to lock them after that, you certainly can. And then in this scenario, we're only bringing in our goals and our role-specific competencies. In your case, when I show you your review, we're going to bring in core competencies as well as development plans as well. We can condense this data and information to make it easier to visualize, or we can expand all the data here inside the solution. We can look at, specifically, we can see here Jeff could change his ratings inside the system. And he can go in here and view what it means to be extraordinary or meets and exceeds. We have these as a hover over, but they could be physically visible as well. These are what we call observable behaviors, and they help us make sure that we're helping managers rate equally from manager to manager inside the overall solution. So it's a great way to hold them accountable in here inside the system. We have a 5-point scale. I believe you're using a 4-point scale, so that is totally configurable inside the system. It doesn't matter to us whether it's a 3, a 4, a 5, a 10, a 20, or some of our customers use no scales at all. Same with whether you use numbers or verbiage or a combination of the two, all configurable. Again, what you can see, and I think there was an example of that here, and there is another screen, is we can bring in also these achievements that are coming in through continuous performance management here. So as we accomplish and achieve things and we associate them with a goal, it will populate that information here. So when we get in and we're looking now at our role-specific behaviors, we want to show you some of our other great built-in content. And part of that is what we classify as our writing assistant. And this is the ability for us to help managers as a starting point as to maybe what they want to say in the system. Of course, they can change the verbiage around here, not just using this, but they can come in and edit this details to make it sound more like themselves. But what we're trying to do is give them a starting point to have a good, solid point of contact and point of clarification around how we feel they're performing that is not going to cause an uncomfortable conversation because it's written in the proper mannerism inside the solution. But even more important is the ability for us to give advice, because we don't want performance management to be, what did you do in your present role? We want it to be more of a, hey, we're trying to help you succeed now or in your present role or in your future role. And as a result, I'm going to constantly help you by giving you advice as well as indicating how I think you've performed inside the solution. Some people really love our legal scan. It's probably going to open on my other screen, so I'll have to drag it over here in a second. And that's the ability for us. You can see I wrote here, great job for a young girl. Certainly not something we would want to be published anywhere or shared back with the employee. So we can make it mandatory that when we move from one phase to another phase, that this is run. It comes with a catalog of words, but you can, again, create and add your own words to make sure that any nomenclature you do not like in your organization, any acronyms you don't want people to use, will be flagged and not used inside your organization. The same thing happens for the spell check, so they have the capability to run spell check here. And this, again, came up. There was no spell check errors. It was on my other screen. And this is your ability to be able to do that. Again, you can make it mandatory to run here inside the system. Okay. Any questions around some of those tools that make that easier for us to be able to do a better job and do some type of help with calibrating our managers inside the solution with those observable behaviors and that writing assistant? Okay. I'm going to show you another cool tool that we have that we use to help us again with this type of collaboration here in the system. And that's what we call our team rater. So as a manager, hopefully we do our reviews over a very short period of time, but sometimes, unfortunately, it can happen over weeks, even months. And what I can do here in the system is use our team rater, and I can come in based on the core values we're rating them on or role-specific competencies that we may be rating them on. And we can see, and you can see not everybody has the same competencies under role-specific. We can see if, did we really have a bad day when we ranked James Klein? Maybe that was the day, I got in an accident on my way to work and I obviously was a little tougher. And I could be able to come in here and make changes, add comments, and update it, which would update that other form. So to me, this is a good mini calibration for managers to help make sure that we've rated our employees equally against each other as well inside the system. Okay, any questions around that part of performance? No? Okay. So what I want to do now is I'm going to log into my sandbox environment when I created your form again and show you the forms that I created specifically for you so that you can see that we can 100% do exactly what you need to do inside the solution. Oh, maybe I didn't change the demo environment. I didn't. That's why my passwords weren't working. Maybe I did create them. Hang on. I actually think I recreated them in this environment for you. This is the proxy capability that I couldn't show you in the other one. So I can go in and I can look specifically at Jada Baker. So if she would have called me and needed help and I wanted to come in and look at her specific page, I can proxy in as Jada. And part of this is that if I took any action specific to Jada, it would be indicated in the audit logs that I took it on her behalf inside the system. And as I was saying, that we use this all the time also for use when executives, so executives we don't want executives to give out their user ID and passwords because they might see pertinent information, and we can allow their EAs to be able to log in and log out of the system as an administrative assistant and improve workflows or do things that we want them to, but we don't want them to be able to see data and information. And through our proxy capabilities, we can block specifically out what we do and do not want to have them see. So the other thing that we have is wherever you see this insight buttons on these pages is the ability to pull up data and information that's specific to the module that we're in, that has the capabilities to show the overall metrics around that. Right now we're in the number of overall completed forms, so it's not that great. But if I went into the overall performance reviews, we would be able to see that. I did launch a 360 review for Jada. And I'm gonna log in as Jada and look at it. We should see grid ones. Here we go. So we have one that I completed specifically for Jada here. So you can see what we were able to do was do a self-assessment. So introduction, we're going to look at our goals, our developments. We're going to go into our competencies, our role specific. We're going to have a summary 6 section, and we're going to actually even look at our performance and potential, our 9 bucks, and then review it. So again, it comes in, we're going to do a self-assessment, a manager assessment, a mid-year review, a ratings discussion, end-of-year review, a signature by the employee, signature by manager, and then completed. We can create as many steps as we want to. Again, the same things, we can lock this goal section down or not lock the goal section down here. We have our development plans. We can add more developmental goals inside the solution. We can bring in our core competencies that are core to us and our organization, as well as our role-specific competencies here inside the solution. We can view our summaries, and we can even rank people here on how we want them to appear on our performance versus potential 9 bucks inside the solution. And what we do is we schedule, we know you want that full 360, so we would schedule the 360 to run specifically in the July timeframe, and I could come in here and I can look at any historical data from previous and that 360 at any point in time. So I can come in here and be able to find the performance review that was done and be able to see what's happened in the overall performance review from a 360 capability inside here. Now, I haven't completed that for Jada, but I could go back and show you how we can do this in one that's actually been completed, because we haven't, this is just launched for this year's cycle, and we haven't done any of our review here in the system. But I more so just wanted to show you how we could create that type of workflow for you that matched your workflow. And the same thing would happen for the 360. So when we launch that here in the system, we can again create whatever workflows we want to have here. So employee nominates, management approves the raters, then we do the evaluation and it's completed. We can go in here, and this is where we can pick the ones that we have designated here, or we can, if you want to, allow them to add additional participants here. And then you can see that we're bringing in the data and information that we want people to be able to rate on. And we can decide whether they can remove these or non-remove these. And here we are, where we in our competencies. And again, we can decide whether we want people to add competencies or lock this down. We can even have them comment on strengths, where they could develop, and so on inside the solution from a 360 perspective. And then once we've done that from an employee, we can send that to the manager so that they can approve those approvers and move that through to the next stage. All right. So is there any questions specific on the capabilities around the 360s and meeting the unique way that you wanted your form set up?
No, Terry, thank you. Let's go forward.
Okay, perfect. So I think what we'll do now is show you the capabilities of doing what we call our continuous performance management, and we'll do it on our mobile phone, and then I'll show you what that looks like in the actual system as well. So this is my iPhone right here that I have up on the screen. You can default where you want people to land. This is kind of if you have all the modules on where you would go. But for instance, if I wanted to come in here, I could look at my performance goals or my development goals here in the system, and I can come in quickly and easily be able to edit the goal up here, or if you want them to have that capability to delete the goal down at the bottom. So if I clicked edit, I could come in here and be able to make any changes that I wanted to here in the system, change the categories, be able to do the updates that I want to, and see how I'm doing inside the solution suite. I can also be able to come in here, and based on being a manager, I can come in here and look at my individual employees and how they're doing inside the system. And this is where we get into the continuous performance management. So I came in here as Jeff, and I'm looking at Jada Baker, and what I'm seeing is what Jada is doing as far as activities and things that she wants to talk to me about inside the solution. So I can, based on permissions, I can come in here and add a new activity that I think she's accomplished. I could add a topic that I think we want to talk to her about. But more importantly, again, I can come in here and add new coaching for her inside the system. So probably easier to look at this from my own perspective. So here's my own activities. So as Jeff Hill, I may come in here and say that, you know, what did I have to do as an additional activity? And I had to complete, you know, 5 demos this week. Is what I completed. So I could put that date and information in here. And then I can link that out to a performance goal. So we can do that here in the system and add that down as one of the goals that I've done. I can also add topics. And what we're trying to do with continuous performance management is really enable communications between our employees and managers on a much more frequent level, but not just as a much more frequent level. We're also trying to encourage conversations around how can we do our jobs better, what tools, what type of management support can I give you to be more successful. So here we can talk about other topics that we want to do. Maybe I need to go in and take a leadership course here, and I can put that in here for something I want to talk to my boss about. And then I can, at any time, come in here, and what we do is we can capture the data and information that we've had these conversations. And when I click that meeting capture, what it does is it records the meeting, and it records all the activities and the topics that we talked about. And all this data and information is feeding back into the overall performance management solution, so that we have this data and information as part of our reviews. So it helps give us more details and information inside the system, that when we're rating people and making decisions about how they're performing, it's all available here. You can see also that I can go into the solution and give feedback or request feedback. Again, all permission based. So if you only want, you know, them to be able to request feedback, not give feedback, you can do that more specifically. So now you see, as I go back into my team here, you can see where it may make more sense what I'm trying to do here when I'm viewing her activities and that. And then if I want to capture that meeting, so I can capture it, and then it can say specifically that it will save it in that meeting history now, that we've had that conversation. And these are the things that we talked about. And again, it feeds the overall performance reviews. We can use this to actually come in and do our performance reviews. So if I wanted to come in and change my ratings around Jada, I can go in and I can edit my review, change what my rating is here in the system quickly and easily. So if people don't have access to a computer or a laptop, they can do that. And I can add goals. It's all completely up to you as to what you want them to be able to do and not do wherever they are inside of the solution suite. If I had things that I needed to approve, I could see those here. So if I had anything that was waiting for me, they would be in my approval status. Any questions around the mobile? And what we're going to do is go in and look at a bit of calibration.
Hey, Terry, I'm sorry, that's Solomon speaking. Can we take a look at reporting and analytics?
Certainly. So one of the best reports or the best tools that I like is what I call our presentations. And this is the ability for you to be able to build out reports that are a combination of active reports inside the system as well as PowerPoint templates. So as you can see by the grid on the bottom, anywhere that we have the grayed out area is where we can pull in dynamic reports inside the solution. So as I'm looking at Jeff Hill and looking at doing a talent review of my employees, I can come in here and see all my employees, and all this information is completely alive inside the solution. So I can pull up whatever data and information I want to. So I can see where people are in their goals. I can come in here and see where everybody is in their 9 box. And again, if I wanted to compare Jada to Stephanie, I could open both of theirs up and be able to look at and compare themselves right here inside the solution. So once you build these templates out once, you never have to modify them at all. It keeps you current with all the, as employees move around inside the organization or leave the organization, this type of data and information is dynamically changed based on those org charts and those org structures. So this gives us a great tool for being able to come in here specifically and you know, just walk into a meeting and have the data and information that we need here inside the overall solution suite. Handy?
Yes, thank you very much.
So that's the overall, that's the capability to build those types of reports. We also have what we call a report center and the ability to run what we call to build all ad hoc reports as well inside the solution. So I probably need to log in as Anna to get the full reporting capabilities, but there was one performance report here. So I'm going to generate the report and see what happened here. But it's the capability to create as many reports as you want to inside the solution and to be able to configure them the way you want to. So the system comes with a number of pre-built forms that reports that you can have and export those in any format that you want to. But at the same time, what it allows you to do is configure. So maybe you want to save this form and then add columns or remove columns to it. Maybe you want to schedule it to run, and you can do that inside the ad hoc report center. And we do have what we call also, and I don't know if Jeff has access to it, advanced analytics inside the system. Let me just log in as Anna. And that's our ability to benchmark against other companies if you choose to, and to be able to use over 2,000 key performance indicators to help you get data and information that you need at your fingertips, as well as predictive analytics inside the solution. So Anna, who I'm logging in now, she is our administrator, so she has more capabilities and access than Jeff does. There's a number of different types of dashboards that we have here that you can land on and configure that are specific to the areas inside the site that you want to run on. But if you were looking for specific things around performance, we could pull those out from a performance reporting capability as well. And everything inside the solution is really about the ability to slice and dice data and information. So we can come in here if we were looking at the workforce productivity is probably more performance based, right? We could come into the system and pick the field that we want to focus on, and then we can slice and dice the data and information. Just give you an example of a report and how we can slice it here. Is the ability for us to come in here and then report it by cost center, by org unit, by different departments and divisions. So with you as an organization that's spread out all over, you'd want the capability to probably dissect this down on those types of parameters as well inside the system. And then, as I said, Anna has a reporting center. She has access to a bit more reports than Jeff does here inside the system. and she can come in here and create import reports, create new reports using that ad hoc reporting tool. So I can create a canvas, I can create a table, I can create those dashboard tiles quickly and easily right here inside the solution. So it walks you through. You don't need to be a wizard to be able to do this. It basically takes you through the 5 steps that you may want to be doing inside the solution. So it asks you for what you want to report on, and then it's going to ask you what people, you know, what chart, what filters, how do you want to drill down, who do you want to make it available to, and so on. It's that type of ad hoc reporting tool.
And team, I know we're getting to the top of the hour. I think we have a minute left. I just want to be sensitive of everyone's time. Alexandra, Roman, Maria, are you guys good to continue? Do we need to have a hard stop? I just want to make sure I'm interjecting.
Let's continue. I can continue.
Okay, Alexandra, so do you want to guide me through what you want to specifically focus on?
Maybe we could go to collaborations, or if colleagues have some other ideas. Yes. Let's go to collaborations as for now.
Are you doing, when you're doing your performance management, are you doing any of the bell curving? Are you forcing the bell curves in performance management?
Yes, we have this practice previously, but we are not doing it as for now on the continuing basis.
So this is what happens. Most people are trying to get a bell curve like this when they're doing their performance management. So they're forcing managers. So here, whereas Jeff Hill, we can see, you know, what our performance grid on. We can bring in pay data from, you know, your payroll provider and look at pay for performance in the system as well. But if we want to come in here and look at this from a performance perspective, and we want to make sure that everybody is using the proper bell curve rating that we need to, it tells us that we need to add 3 to here, we need to add 13 to here, we need to get rid of 6 from here and 4 from here. So it gives us the ability to be able to come in here and look at the individuals, and because all this data and information is all live, I can go in and open up her full profile here inside the system and see how she's performing inside the solution. And then I can, you know, go in and look at her development plans, her achievements, those things that we were just looking at and tied up continuous performance management and so on. And that can help me make decisions about who I'm going to move from one area of this rating from out of extraordinary into these other verticals here inside the solution. So that's one of the ways that we do this. You can also view the same thing from a list perspective. So if I just want to go down and look at everybody and see where they're sitting, I can view them from this perspective as well. And these are all color codes that we've created and set up that help us understand if there are diversity candidates, likely promoted, what the impact of loss are. So these are all icons that you can configure, and these are made visible here to help make these also easier decisions inside the solution. Then we talked about the pay for performance, and this is where we can come in and see where they're sitting in that 9 box from a pay from performance perspective as well. And then in that PowerPoint, we had the potential matrix, and we can view that at any point in time that we want to as well. We often store that under succession more so than performance, but it works for both. So here's where we can see our performance and potential matrix and where everybody sits from that perspective as well.
Could you move people also here in this matrix?
Yeah, so it's all based on permissions inside it. So if you want them to be able to move them, they can move them inside the solution. But again, it's all on permission. So Jeff himself does not appear to have permission because it's a drag and drop capability that you can actually, if you have permission to move them, you can drag and drop them around.
Okay.
Okay, is there, and this is your how versus what matrix, so how they're performing based on competencies and how they were rated, so based on their objective and their competency rating. So lots of different 9 boxes to help you understand based on different elements how well your employees are in performing inside the organization and whether they're like James and should be off-boarded or, you know, inside the organization based on where they are. And these boxes are all configurable, the colors, even if you wanted to use instead of a 9 box, like a 16 box, you can do that as well inside the solution. And you can change the look and feel of what type of data and information you want visible here as well. And if you were doing this as an overall HR person, this is where the filters come in. Because we're just Jeff doing it as a manager, it's not that big. But if we were doing this for the entire organization, as Anna's saying, then we could filter it down for them based on department and divisions and locations and things like that, so that we can have a look and a view of all of our 9 boxes based on those.
Yeah, that's a great feature. Terry, could you also show us this attrition risk?
I'm sorry, the what?
Attrition risk tracking, retention.
Yeah, so you can decide if that's part of their profile. Inside the profile, the risk of loss, is that what you're talking about, Alexandra?
Yep.
Yeah. So who do you want, who usually changes that? Like who makes that, where do you want people to do that, I guess is the case. Like I know that the data is stored here and it can be visible. I don't know if Jeff has it in his profile, but where do you want people to indicate that and at what part of the cycle do you want that to happen? So here's the risk of loss here. Like, so.
Okay. Yeah, so I used to know that it was in profile and that manager could see these fields and employee no.
Right. So that's completely up to you. So it's a field, so you can decide whether employee sees it or only the manager sees it. And you can decide who edits it, right? So obviously, probably, as we said, sometimes we give Jeff too many permissions in the system, so we don't have to log in and out so many times. And I apologize today, I logged in and out because I used the sandbox and the main site. But this is the capability that we probably wouldn't have, is to be able to edit your own risk. This is something a manager would do for their employees. So if I wanted to go look for Jada Baker and do this for Jada Baker as one of my employees, this is probably more so where I would do it, right? So I would want to come in and then look at her risk of loss and change that data and information. Right, and then I would edit it. I could edit her risk of loss. And then we can see, of course, where here all that 9 box information is visible. And again, I may view this from Jada, but Jada may herself not be able to view this, right? So I'm her manager, so I can see this in her profile. But if Jada logged in herself, she wouldn't see this information.
Okay. Thank you.
And then even as I said, like here's our skills and competencies and how we've been ranked and rated, and this is part of the capability. You know, if I wanted to, I can go out and find learning. So that's, you know, if you're ever going to expand it, the next probably logical thing for you when you have performance management is to add in compensation, because in compensation we pull in the recommended merit increases based on their performance scores. So we bring their performance scores in. And then of course, if we're constantly trying to develop people, we want to be able to enable them to come in and choose learning and stuff for themselves as well. And then we can come in and see any of our performance scores or their performance scores here, right? So if I went into Jada's specifically, and I think it was Jada that we created those forms from, I could also see those performance reviews that I created specific to you if I'm in the right system. Is there, and you, Alexander, you've seen a bunch of demos. There's things that are important to you. So why don't you tell me what you haven't seen that you're hoping to see to make sure we check all those boxes?
Let's ask Maria and Roman what actually we would like to see today. Maria, Roman, do you have here questions?
I don't. I'm good. Actually, I'm interested in some technical details like API or integration, but I think this separate discussion.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. There are definitely APIs available for sure. I was just going to log into that continuous performance management. See if I'm in the same system to see. So this is the same type of, this is the continuous performance management that I showed you on the phone. It's the ability to add those activities and capture those meetings. You can see that 5 demos this week came in here. And if I were to scroll down, you can see there's my leadership course. It's automatically populated. So all the stuff that I added from my mobile phone are brought right in here inside the system. And again, you know, if I'm with Jada and wanted to talk to her, add comments to her specifically, the ability to do that, and then of course capture those meetings inside the solution. And if I were to go in to Jada's performance review, I could see any of these activities that would feed her specific performance review. So this is where those these achievements and that would come in. I probably should look at my own because I added my own accomplishments and achievements, but this is where it's feeding that type of data and information right back into the system. Because I actually wrote, I forgot that I put those comments in actually as Jeff, not as Jada, right?
Yep, so thank you, Terry. Maria, do you have some questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, so Terry, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Happy to jump back in and show you anything further again that you need to get clarification on. We really would like to be your partner. We are a global supplier. We see great synergies and growing with you in the other modules as time goes on. And I hope you're taking that into consideration and making your decisions that you're picking a partner that's going to help you above and beyond just in performance, right?
Sure, Terry. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend, and we'll stay in touch. And regarding these API questions, I've sent you a letter. Maybe you could have a chance to send an answer.
Yeah, and Alexandra, this is Chris. I'll do my diligence here as well and coordinate with Terry, and I'll see what I can send over in regards to those technical specs for yourself and Roman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.